This is our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 4, 2019 Thursday. My name is JC De Guzman, and today I'll be talking about 10 different stocks, beginning with Bloom. Okay, so with Bloom closed on Thursday at 12.58. Support is at 11.12 rather. Resistance is at 12.96. This green candlestick came with a volume that's about 150% or 200% above its 10-day volume average. The closing price is above its volume weighted average price point of 12.49. Remember, the closing price is 12.58. Why am I emphasizing the VWAP now? It's because if it's a green candlestick, and if the volume is equal if not higher than the 10-day volume average, and if the last price is above the VWAP, it will be more likely for the ascent in price to continue. And that's the exact case in Bloom right now. Foreign investors also bought about 13 million pesos worth of shares yesterday. MACD crossed above the signal line. By the way, the last price is already moving above the 10 SMA. And if you have been watching the previous videos, take note, you should know by now that it's already a buy signal when the price is above the 10 SMA and when MACD crosses above the signal line. Historical volatility is at 43% and that gives Bloom a low risk level. My overall sentiment is bullish on Bloom. My recommendation for those who already have a position on Bloom is to consider locking in some profits near 13 pesos per share. Sell a few tranches or strictly follow your trailing stop loss. For those who don't have a position yet, or for those who are thinking they should top up or not, remember those 3 criteria that I discussed in yesterday's video. What are those criteria? First, it should be a green candlestick. Second, volume should be equal if not higher than the 10-day volume average. Thirdly, the most traded and most voluminous range should be registered closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Okay, take a look at that. And if you need assistance when it comes to price volume distribution analysis, you always have an access to our private clients forum. Utilize it, use it, maximize it, post your requests in our forum. Okay, if you need guidance on how to use the forum, please read the quick start guide. There's a link on your My Account tab. Okay, moving on to the next stock in the list, we have Maxis. Okay, Maxis closed on Thursday at 15.10 per share. Support is at 13.9. Resistance is at 16 pesos per share. This green candlestick managed to close above its volume weighted average price of 14.97. Volume is also above its 10-day volume average. Foreign investors bought about 5 million pesos worth of shares on Maxis. The last price is also above the 10-day simple moving average, and the shorter term moving averages are hovering the longer term ones. So these are bullish signals for Maxis. MACD is also bullish above the signal line. RSI, however, has already touched the classical overbought level. Okay, historical volatility is at 42%. That gives Maxis a low risk level. My overall sentiment is bullish, but although it's bullish, my recommendation is that you consider locking in some profits between 15 to 16 pesos per share, or just follow your trailing stop loss. Okay, now if you don't have a position yet and you are thinking whether you should enter or you're planning whether you should top up or not, remember those 3 criteria that I mentioned a while back. Now, what motivated me to recommend locking in some profits between 15 to 16 pesos per share? It's because of the classical, the position of position of RSI inside the classical overbought territory. Okay. Anyhow, it's not a terrible advice to lock in some profits. It's still a gain. You're going to sell at a gain. And should the share price continue to go up, you can still, it's not too late to add more shares into your portfolio for this particular stock, provided those three criteria are present. Just review what I said in the previous stock to refresh what to be reminded of those three criteria. Okay, now let's move on to T. TKC Metals Corporation closed on Thursday at 1.09. Okay, 1.09 support. Support is at, we can position the support near here. This level, it's at 0.95. 0.95. Resistance is at 1.22. The green, although it's a green candlestick, it did not manage to close above the VWAP of 1.12. Volume, on the other hand, is above the 10-day volume average. Foreign investors sold about a significant amount of 200,000 pesos on T. Now, since the last price is below the VWAP, my conviction isn't that high. My bullish conviction isn't that high. So there's a possibility for T to just trade the range between its current position all the way to 1.22, or it might just move side, or it's possible, in other words, for the price to bounce away from 1.09 and revisit the price below, maybe up until 1.05. Okay. MACD, on the other hand, remains bullish above the signal line. Historical volatility is at 94%, which means a high risk level for T. My overall sentiment is neutral to bullish on T. My recommendation is that if you have a position on T, make sure that you strictly follow your trailing stop loss, so you'll never go wrong. And remember, a trailing stop loss protects your capital. It preserves your gains if there's any, and it prevents unbearable losses because it is a representation of your tolerable risk. Now, if you are thinking if you should buy or enter a new position on T, make sure that those three criteria are present. Should be green candlestick, volume should be equal if not higher than the 10-day volume average, and the most traded price and with the most traded and most voluminous range should be registered closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Okay. Now let's move on to MB. MB closed on Thursday at 0.64. Support is at 0.53. The resistance is at 0.66 or 0.60. Yes, 0.66. MB is at the brink of breaking out above its immediate resistance as a precursor to the next one at 0.91. The last price is a green candlestick and it's moving above the 10-day simple moving average. It's also good to see that volume is above the 10-day volume average. Okay. Now the VWAP, on the other hand, MB closed below the VWAP of 0.65 on Thursday. Okay. Meanwhile, MACD remains bullish above the signal line. Historical volatility is at 84%, which means a high risk level for MB. Now, because the last price is below the VWAP, my conviction is also not completely bullish. So meaning to say my overall sentiment is neutral to bullish on Manila Bulletin. So there's a possibility for the price to bounce away from here. So if you have MB, make sure that you consider locking in some profits, or it's either you sell at once or you sell a few tranches by following your trailing stop loss or by selling near 0.65. If you don't have a position yet, I suggest that you wait for a pullback near 0.53. Should the ascent in price continue above 0.65 with strong volume, consider the idea of entering a new position if those three criteria are present, the ones that I discussed a while back. Now, moving on to VUL. VUL closed on Thursday at 1.07. So it already broke down below the previous support at 1 point, let me double check on that. It has, okay. No, it hasn't broken down yet below its immediate support. Immediate support is at 1.03. So VUL managed to consider 1.03 as its historical support, and it bounced away from that level yesterday. And the green candlestick came with a green volume that's a little bit shy below the 10-day volume average. Meanwhile, that single-day green candlestick wasn't enough to make MACD show us a bullish convergence, a formation of a bullish convergence with the signal line. So VUL needs to register maybe 2 to 3 more green candlesticks for MACD to show us a bullish formation, a bullish convergence with the signal line. Historical volatility is at 70%, and that's um, a moderate risk level for VUL. One more percent, and that will put VUL into a high risk level. Okay? The support below 1.03, mind you, is at 0.79. So if VUL will not continue to register a bullish volume, but that is equal if not higher than the 10-day volume average, should be a green volume bar, then it's more likely for VUL to continue to break down below 1.03. So watch out on the volume. Don't forget that the moving averages, their alignment is still in a perfect bearish formation. My overall sentiment on VUL remains bearish despite this green candlestick. So my recommendation is that you stay on a wait and see mode. Again, entertain the idea of entering a new position if those 3 criteria are available already. Now let's move on to BPI. BPI closed on Thursday at 81 pesos per share. Let me plot the daily support near 79.6 and the daily resistance near 88.8. Okay, 88.8. But we can also consider this as a midterm resistance, this line at 83.3. Okay, the red candlestick came with a red volume that's 200% above the 10-day volume average. Foreign investors sold about 170 million pesos worth of shares on Thursday. MACD continues to traverse the bearish territory below the signal line. Historical volatility, however, is still low at 27%, and that gives BPI a low risk level. Take note, though, that the VWAP, BPI closed below the VWAP of 82 pesos. VWAP is at 82, closing price is at 81. So it's more likely now for BPI to continue its downtrend. My overall sentiment is bearish. My recommendation is wait for a pullback close to 79.6. Okay. Now moving on to CHP. CHP closed on Thursday at 2.02. Resistance is at 2.21. Support is at 1.62. It closed below its VWAP of 2.07, and the descent in price came with a volume that's about 300% above its 10-day volume average. MACD continues its bearish movement below the signal line. RSI is about 9 points or 10 points away from the classical oversold territory. Historical volatility remains high at 110%. That means an extremely high risk level for CHP. Newbie traders, FYI on that. So my overall sentiment is bearish on CHP. That's my overall sentiment, and my recommendation for those who have had CHP, make sure that you should have exited by now already. Okay? If you don't have a position yet, my recommendation is that you wait for a pullback close to 1.62, or at least the median between 2.2 and 1.62, somewhere near maybe 1.8 or 1.9. I'm not saying you should buy right away when the price breaks down below 1.8 to 1.9. Make sure that you reevaluate, entertain the idea of entering a new position only if and when those three criteria are present. Next, we have ICT. ICT closed on Thursday at 123.8. VWAP is at 124.93. It goes without saying that it closed below the VWAP, and the descent in price came with a volume that's a few points below the 10-day volume average. ICT right now is already moving below the 10-day simple moving average. Because of this not so towering volume, I'm not that convinced yet that ICT will continue its downtrend on a significant level. Maybe it will just move sideways. This technical correction is necessary since it has been moving in a bearish position since December. Not just December, but since July 2018. It has been busy moving upwards. It has to take some rest, so to say. Just like what happened in the last week of February until the first week of March. It took some rest before it elevated the price once again. So this technical correction is necessary for it to gain some reinforcements, bullish reinforcement. Of course, should it decide to continue going up. Okay. Now, MACD. Let's see if this is okay. MACD is still is in a bearish, is showing us a formation of a bearish convergence with the signal line. Although MACD is still above the signal line, but there's the presence of a bearish formation of a bearish convergence with the signal line. Historical volatility, however, is at 37%, which means a low risk level for ICT. My overall sentiment for ICT is neutral. It might just move sideways from here. Volume is still too low for me to say that this is that there's a panic selling is being cooked. So I'm not yet there yet. I'm not there yet. Okay. So my overall sentiment, follow your trailing stop loss for you guys who have ICT. For those who don't have it yet, be on wait and see mode for now. Don't rush in, don't enter it just yet unless those three criteria are present. Remember those three. Now, moving on to PHA. PHA closed on Thursday at 0.96. Support is at 0.86. Resistance is at 1.18 or 1.26 rather. PHA is now officially below the 10-day simple moving average, and it closed below its VWAP of 0.98. On the other hand, volume is not that outstanding as it's just about a few points, just maybe about 50%. It's just about 50% of its 10-day volume average. Well, meanwhile, MACD remains bearish. Historical volatility is at 142%. That's an extremely high risk level for PHA. FYI, newbie traders. Okay, with this kind of volatility and inconsistent liquidity, I would suggest that you pick some other stocks from your watch list. Okay, my overall sentiment is neutral. In the short term, neutral. In the long term, I'm bearish on PHA. In the short term, it's neutral. It might just move sideways between 0.86 and 1.10. So pick some other stocks that are positioned in a way that you have a better reward to risk ratio, guys. Okay, so that's my overall sentiment, and I've already given you my recommendation. If you have PHA, make sure that you sell once your trailing stop loss is hit. Now, last in the list, we have DMW. DMW closed on Thursday at 11.42. That's definitely below its VWAP of 11.6. And this The downtrend in price came with a strong volume that's above its 10-day volume average. Support is at 10.48. Resistance is at, let me correct that. Support is at 11 pesos per share. Resistance is at 12.44. If it breaks down below 10.98, the next support would be 9.6. MACD has already formed a bearish divergence with the signal line. It already crossed below the signal line. Historical volatility is at 52%, which means a moderate risk level for DMW. My overall sentiment is bearish because of that towering volume. My recommendation is that you wait for a pullback near 10.98 or 11 pesos per share. Again, please take advantage of your access to our private clients forum over here. Read the quick start guide from your My Account tab if you don't know yet how to post in our forum. And there you go, you've heard my analysis, my technical analysis, recommendation, and trade setups and overall sentiment for these 10 stocks for April 4, 2019. Again, my name is JC De Guzman. May you have an independent and profitable trading day ahead. Thank you.